Chapter 6. Today I've decided to talk a little bit about my brother. I know that I've stated before that he is addicted to crack cocaine, but I haven't said a lot else about him. So he's a big part of my family. He's my only sibling, therefore I thought I should talk about him. I'm pretty sure that his issues with drug addiction mirror my issues with PTSD as far as cause goes. I'm pretty sure that where I retreated into myself and that kind of developed into or fostered my post-traumatic stress disorder, I'm pretty sure that my brother, instead of going inward, looks to drugs to kind of, make himself feel better about our past. And I truly believe that if he would get counseling and kind of face what we went through, then he would have a better chance at beating the drug addiction. I don't think that he's ever going to beat the drug addiction without first facing our past and admitting that, yeah, we were abused, we were neglected, we were abandoned, we were mistreated, and that I was sexually abused. Because for all I know, he could have been too. I don't know that he wasn't. I know that, sometimes pedophiles don't have a sex or gender preference, especially when we're talking about very young children, because there's not a lot of difference. So it's possible that my brother, and I'm not saying that he was, and I'm not saying that he wasn't, I'm saying that it's possible. And he won't talk about our early childhood, and he refuses to state anything negative about our father, which makes sense in a way, because as bad as my dad was, he was there, and you have to give him credit for that. Granted, being there, being physically there, does not a parent make. However, it's better than Gloria, who is my first mother. She's also the only person that I've referred to by name, but she claims that she doesn't have any children, so don't really see how using her name could harm her in any way. So there's that. I love my brother. I really do. I don't understand him sometimes, because to me it wasn't that hard of a choice to make. Once I crossed a line that I thought I would never cross, and during a psychotic episode attacked someone, it was a fairly easy choice to make. I don't want to be this person. I don't like who I am. So I'm going to go get help, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get that help. And I don't understand my brother, because he has hurt his children. He's harmed them. And I don't understand why he wouldn't just do it. And I know it's not that simple. Like, psychologically, I know that it's not that simple, or rather, from a psychological perspective, I know that it's not that simple, and that humans just aren't that simple. But from a sisterly perspective, it's like, get help. Just get help. Stop going to prison, because prison's bad and it's harming your kids, and just change your people and your places and your things, and admit that this stuff happened to you, and face the facts so you can be the person that you once were. But it doesn't work that way. Actually, growing up, my brother was extremely popular. We started going to a K-12 school when I was in 3rd grade and he was in 4th grade. This is around the time that my father gained custody of us, because my mother could not be found my father automatically won custody. This was, of course, in the 80s, where it was really hard for fathers to get custody. The courts pretty much always thought he was the mother. But my dad did. He fought and he got custody of us, and he moved us to this very rural K through 12 school, which was odd because we had never lived in a rural setting before. We had always lived in not large cities, but larger cities, places that could be called cities, places where you had more than one elementary school or middle school or high school. And here we were going to a school that was K through 12. So there's a bit of culture shock. But he was popular from day one, and I was the exact opposite. I was unpopular from day one. I was the weird kid from day one, which is fine with me in retrospect. But anyway, he was popular. He played football. He played basketball. He may have played baseball. I'm not sure, but I do know that he was a bit of a football star, and he was definitely a basketball star. And he could have gone to, he could have gone to college on scholarship. He could have gotten a full ride scholarship, to the very least a partial to a really good school, but he didn't. Around, I want to say around age 13, he started really going downhill. My father and other members of our family would probably say that it was later than that, but my father working a night job meant that my brother and I were home alone a lot, and so I saw a different side of my brother than everyone else did. And he started smoking, and he started drinking, and again, very young age, 13 years old, he's drinking, he's smoking, and he's experimenting with marijuana. And I want to be clear, I do think that marijuana should be legalized. I'm like anti-marijuana, but it's not because I'm pro marijuana. It's for other political reasons. I don't think that marijuana is a gateway drug. I think that anything can be a gateway drug for the right person. My brother, with our history, he was just the right person. He was the right person for drugs to get hold of. And a friend of his introduced him to, crack. And when my brother was like 16 years old, he was already gone, pretty far, pretty fast. He went from a straight A student to dropping out of school. He went from, being Mr. Football and Mr. Basketball to not playing sports at all. I don't know if he quit the teams or if he was thrown off the teams, but he went from, having all the preppy kids as friends to hanging out with the stoners, basically, with the kids who just laid around and did drugs all day. And it didn't take long before, he would find drugs in his truck. Because he bought a truck with tobacco money. And it didn't take long before he would find drugs in his truck, and he got a job in a nearby town, and he was getting drugs there, and then he started selling the drugs. And it went downhill. He went from being, Mr. All-American to very moody and very just like a drug addict, like a junkie. He acted like a junkie. And I'll never forget, like, one day I came home from school and I was so excited because this cute boy, I think I was like 14 years old, which means my brother was about 15, because he's a year older than me. So if I was 14, he was 15, maybe 16, depending on what time of year it was. But anyway, I come home because really cute boy, I like taking a ride home from school, and I was so excited. And I smoked at this point in time. I smoked cigarettes. And so anyway, I come in, I'm so excited, and I'm just run to my room, and I find my, the bottom of my mattress I had cut open so I could stick my cigarettes up in there. And so I rush home, go in there, and take my cigarettes out, and they're gone. And so I confronted my brother, and I was like, you stole my cigarettes? Because he stole my cigarettes. And he was like, no, I didn't steal your cigarettes. I don't know what you're talking about. I stole your cigarettes. And he proceeded, like, cause we argued about it for a minute. Like, where's my cigarettes? Where's my fucking cigarettes? And he picked me up and he threw me across the room. And the way I landed, because I went over the TV and kind of twisted between the TV and the wall. And the way that I landed, it tore some things in my, arm, wrist, my wrist and my elbow. So my father, at this point in time, was not working a second shift job anymore. So my father comes home, and that's Pond in the background. She's upset with me. I don't know why. But anyway, so my father comes home, and you can see that my arm is like black and blue bruised. And I've been crying, and I'm in pain. And my dad did not take me to the hospital. The school, actually, the next day, forced him to take me to the hospital. But come to find out, like, some of the ligaments or tendons or something had been ripped in my arm, and so my arm was like in a cast for a while. Because they weren't like completely ripped off. Like, nothing was completely, ripped. But they were torn a little bit to where I had to, have my arm in a sling for a while. I took catheters and a catheter sling. But anyway, so the next day I come home from, the doctor's office with my dad, and, my brother comes up to me and throws a pack of cigarettes at me. And I was like, you stole my cigarettes. And he was like, yeah, you beat me up because you stole my cigarettes. Yeah. Were you high? Because you had to have been high. What sane person beats up their little sister because they stole her cigarettes? You shouldn't be smoking. You're a year older than me. You shouldn't be smoking either. And we shouldn't have been smoking. Like, I am not condoning smoking, especially for minors. Don't smoke. Don't even smoke when you're an adult. Like, I quit, and I'm so glad that I quit, because I feel so much healthier now that I've quit. And it's, it hasn't even been a year that I quit smoking, and it's awesome. It's awesome to not smoke anymore. So much money you can save too. But no, so that's how bad it got. Like, my brother became irrationally violent. And, throughout the years, he's just completely lost any sense of trust that I could ever have placed in him. And granted, I know that I made this huge mistake, when I was 21, and that I should have gotten help, and that, I should have faced some things myself. But the difference being is that I did. I faced those things, and I got help so that I wouldn't hurt anyone ever again, so that I wouldn't have these problems anymore, so that I would be a productive citizen, and a good person, and, so on and so forth. And my brother hasn't made any steps. But, it got bad for a while. Like, he stole a paper, he stole my computer. And I remember, my final paper for a class was, in my computer. And I go to school and they're like, turn in your papers, and I don't turn one in. And I go to my teacher and I'm like, hey, so I'm not going to tell you my dog ate my homework, but Crackhead's brother stole it? Why would your brother steal your homework? Well, I hadn't printed it out yet. Saved on my PC that my brother stole and probably stole your pawn shop. So I did get the computer back. The police found it, I think, in the pawn shop, and it still had the CD in it that I had. This was a long time ago. Like, I'm old, so this was a long time ago, and we still saved things to CDs back then, but for the advent of the thumb drive. But I know it's never apologize for that either. It just happened. Another short little story. I was, at home, and I had my own phone line. I was still in high school, and I get a phone call from the police telling me that my brother is being transported to the hospital. So I, rush to the hospital, and he's unconscious. They're cutting his clothes off of him. I call my dad. Tell my dad, hey, Donald's in the hospital. Apparently he OD'd. Apparently what had happened is he was so high that he went into someone's home and thought it was his home, and ended up breaking into someone else's home. And, the guy, upon realizing that my brother is obviously, high as a kite, calls, the police, and the ambulance show up, and by the time the ambulance gets there, he's comatose. And he wakes up, but he's not there. He's going through, these really bad DTs, and it's the first time I've ever seen someone go through DTs. He was hallucinating. He was hitting a crack pipe that wasn't there. He was talking to people who weren't there. He couldn't see the people that were there. It was bad. And you would think that after almost dying, because he almost died, that, he would change his ways. But he didn't. He didn't change his ways. He left the hospital against medical advice and went to rob my dad's house again to buy more drugs. And the sad thing is he has 3 children. He's a married woman, had a child, told that child he was daddy. But to my mind, he is this child's father. Biology doesn't matter. You raised him as your kid, so he's your kid. And then, of course, he has his 2 biological children. And none of them have been served by him. No. Sorry. Puppies are fighting over a ball. But none of them have been served by their father very well. All of them have issues. The oldest is in and out juvenile facilities. Now he's an adult. Kind of thinking he's probably going to be in and out of some adult facilities. And I hope I'm wrong, because I love that kid. Even though he doesn't really talk to me anymore, we had a falling out because I'm not going to enable him. And the middle one and I also had a falling out because, well, I think that he has some abandonment issues. And I think that this has led him to tell some very dishonest and untrue stories in order to try to get his family to accept him more. Well, you're on my side because you're telling me stories about the other side of things. Which isn't nice. And then, so he won't talk to me because I refused to apologize, I guess. His mother pushed my father and I screamed at her. And I refused to apologize for that because, well, I don't owe her an apology. She pushed my father. He's a very sick man. Even though I'm not talking to my father, like I've lost my entire family recently. His oldest nephews don't talk to me. My father doesn't talk to me. My brother probably won't talk to me once he gets out of prison again. I'm not allowed really to talk to the 5-year-old because he's back in my father's custody, and my father won't talk to me. So, and I know, like from the outside looking in, it's like, well, if your entire family becomes you, like you must be the problem. And normally, I would agree, but I refuse to enable an 18-year-old kid. I refuse to coddle a 16-year-old kid. And by coddle, I mean I refuse to explain away his behaviors. Like, I think that if we keep explaining away his behaviors, he's going to end up like me and, 21 and not know how to take responsibility for his actions because he never got the help that he needed. And I'll offer either one of them help, but enabling is totally different. My brother won't speak to me because I refuse to enable his crack addiction. My father won't speak to me because I called the police and he threatened to kill me. And almost, killed the father of mine. Didn't mean to do, but it's just about intent. It's just about responsibility. Be responsible. You can't drive anywhere, don't drive. Don't do drugs. Anyway, so that's a brief synopsis of my brother. I don't really know what else to say. There's a lot of bad stories about my brother, the high school chase, and his insane marriage to that woman. A lot of that story. So that's all for now. I'll be back tomorrow. Post another vlog. I see pond in the background. So yeah, I feel like I'm like in these movies. I'm done.